Welcome back to Mountain Connections this morning. Now, cold and flu season is rapidly approaching as we head into those colder temperatures in the fall here in Park City as well as in the nation. And there's often a confusion between flu and cold symptoms and COVID-19, as well as concerns around the rising monkeypox as well as the re-emergence of polio. Here to talk to us today is Dr. Emily Volk, who will give us more information about what to be aware of. Dr. Emily, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So what do we need to know when we're heading into cold and flu season? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, there's been some changes to testing guidelines for COVID-19. So that's an important thing to realize that, first of all, if you are exposed to COVID-19 and you have a home test, you can take that test, and if you're asymptomatic, you test once and you're negative. 48 hours later, you test negative again. You should test one more time 48 hours later to make sure that you don't have COVID-19 and can't spread it to your loved ones. Now, if you're symptomatic, meaning do you have a cough or headache or fever, and you take the test at home for COVID-19 and you're negative, you take it again in 48 hours and you're negative again, you can rest assured you probably don't have COVID-19. But if you're in doubt, you probably need to go get a laboratory test for using the PCR. Now, what folks need to know is that cold, flu, and COVID-19, the symptoms can blend together. We know that COVID-19 can have loss of taste and smell, but it doesn't always. So if you've got a cough, a headache, body aches, fever, you might have one of those illnesses. And, doctors know that testing is the best way to figure it out.
It's definitely a good thing to take precautions and to be extra careful as we head into this new fall cold and flu season. So talk to me a bit more about the difference between the COVID-19 shots or boosters and the flu shots.
Well, here's the good news. The COVID-19 booster protects you not only from the original COVID-19, but it really covers you well for the Omicron variant that's all over the United States right now. COVID is still with us. And for those who are vulnerable, it can still be deadly. So getting that vaccine is a really good idea. And if you haven't had COVID in the last 3 months, you can get that vaccine on the same day that you can get your flu shot. So I'm encouraging everyone in my family and my colleagues to get both.
It's definitely important to stay up to date there. Now, give us some quick tips about the difference between COVID and flu-like symptoms.
There's a lot of overlap there. That's the thing. So testing is really the best way to distinguish whether or not you've got the flu, common cold, or COVID-19. Even though that loss of taste and smell can occur with COVID-19, we kind of know it as a hallmark of COVID-19. It doesn't always happen. So getting that test helps you be sure.
Now, we should absolutely be aware of COVID and the flu, but talk to us a bit more about the rising cases in monkeypox as well as the possible reemergence of polio.
Sure. So everyone's, been hearing about monkeypox. We know that the cases are actually starting to turn around and they're decreasing in the United States as of the last couple of weeks, which is great news. We also have a vaccine available for those who are vulnerable for it. People who are immunocompromised are at especially high risk for getting severe monkeypox and less likely fatal monkeypox. Now, with polio, that's a different story altogether. I'm very concerned, as is the rest of the medical community, about the case of polio that's occurred in the United States in the last couple of months. It tells us that there is a risk for a resurgence of polio in the United States. This is totally preventable with the vaccine. We've wiped it out before. We need to wipe it out again. Polio can cause flu-like symptoms, but in some people, it can lead to life-changing permanent paralysis and death. So that vaccine saves your life.
It's definitely interesting to see that they all have similar symptoms, but it's good to be an advocate for your health. We appreciate you sharing the differences between all of these varieties of colds and symptoms. Now tell us, where can we go for more information?
Two great places to go for very reliable information are fda.gov and cdc.gov.
Well, Dr. Volk, thank you so much for joining us this morning here on Mountain Connections. It's always a pleasure hearing the latest and greatest health updates and what we should be doing to stay healthy and strong as we move through the seasons. Now stay tuned. We have lots more here on our show on Mountain Connections. We'll be right back after this.